Hey gang, it's KR King of D&D Homebrew. Today I'm going to be talking about using the mysterious in your campaign. And by mysterious, I mean mysterious items, places, mysterious geography, and mysterious events that will evoke in your players a sense of wonder, of possibly dread, possibly fear, and also, add to the verisimilitude of your world because there are, in fact, mysterious places and items and whatnot that even in the real world that no one has any explanation for. And this is related to, it's another video I did earlier that I'll put the link up to using a mysterious NPC. I had this statue in a Medusa's lair, and I put it in there, and I said it was 8 feet tall, and I didn't recognize the features, and I didn't realize the players were going to find a stone to flesh spell and a scroll, and they came back and brought him back to life, and I had this, they called him the Golden Man. I thought of him more as copper colored. I had no idea who it was, and then I forgot about it, and one thing led to another, and he became this mysterious figure. And in that process, I realized the power of mystery, the power of the unexplained, the power of not just finding something and, identifying its whole history or what it does, but it remains an enigma, a mystery. This is something, as I said, can really help your campaign and also can help you if you, as we'll talk about. I guess I'll start with the 3 criterion that I have for mysterious items, which is a mysterious item that is related directly to some future, in storyline, encounter, place, ancient civilization, or recent, or some other plane, or something that is ongoing, and you just want to put some clues out there. You want to give evidence of this, but you're not ready, whether it's a storyline that's going on, you're busy with something else, or you haven't finished it yet. And this is something where you're just putting this mysterious item out here, but you're going to give it some time. You're not going to tell the players right away what it is. The other one is a mysterious item that you place, not really sure how it fits in. And then as you go along in your world, you realize, hey, I can use this item either in an existing storyline, some ancillary thing or something, or you just decide, you know what, I really like this idea that I had, but I just put it in there, for atmosphere, for mystery, but now I'm going to attach it to something. And then the final topic are those that are just simply mysteries. They are unexplained. You put them in your world. You don't have an explanation. The players can never figure it out. They wonder about it forever, just as we wonder about items and places in our own world that I'll talk about. Because you know what? The Earth's been inhabited for 100,000 years by a modern man, and that's a lot of history. That's a lot of artifacts. That's a lot of effect on places. I live in the United States where we had indigenous people here, 10 or 20,000 years. I don't know the exact rate, but they've left behind all sorts of artifacts, small ones like arrowheads and things, big ones like huge burial mounds. And these items, when you find them, they're mysterious initially. Now, we have enough knowledge about this that we can probably identify. If you find an arrowhead, you know what it is. But if you found some statue or something from this culture that you had no idea, it's this mysterious thing. It shows you that someone has been here in this past, right? Because these indigenous people walked the ground that I'm on right now 1,000 years ago and left behind these items. And obviously Europe and Asia and Africa, these places have been inhabited a lot longer. And so they have all sorts of artifacts and things. And again, a lot of them are identifiable, but it's those that are mysterious. It's those that there are no explanation that fills people with a sense of dread or fear. This is why we create, alien civilizations or something like that to explain them. So I'm just going to give some examples that I've used in the past for mysterious items. And again, sometimes there are clues to things, but sometimes I would just throw these out there. I'd see something, in a magazine, let's say before there was an online, but now that there's online, you'd see something in a movie and you think to yourself, oh, that's really cool. That's really mysterious. And I've talked before about using art as inspiration, the same sort of thing where you see something and maybe you don't know what it is. Check out that video. And I put it in there and I have it. So just as an example, a carving. Some kind of, this can often be primitive, but it can be very sophisticated. The players come across, it might be this big, it might be 10 feet tall or whatever, and they have no idea why this is here. Usually it's in a mysterious place, like out of place, in the middle of a wilderness or in some catacomb, or cave complex, whatever. Maybe part of it is buried if it's large enough. And the players use let's say in a 5e world, they use their skill checks, arcana or history, nothing. And again, if you're doing these, they roll them and the person rolls a nat 20, and you can say you have no idea. Now that you make it some complaints, well, shouldn't a nat 20 I have something? And maybe you want to say there's something in there deep inside, like you feel almost as if it was a dream. That's how remote this is, if they roll the nat 20. But let's say you just stick to this. No matter what they roll, they have no idea what this thing is. They will say, what the hell, right? If they all roll 2s and 3s, they'll think, oh, okay, well, whatever. Again, in the skill check system, a little bit of metagaming there, I know, but what you're trying to evoke is a sense of what the hell, what is this thing that is so mysterious, so foreign to the history, the accumulated history or arcana or religious checks or whatever, that we simply have no idea what this thing is. And if this carving now, you can have carvings that are recognizable as, some of these examples I'm showing of the horrific carvings and whatnot, but they can also be mysterious. They can also be that they don't even make any sense, but it's clear that they have been fashioned. So you may connect this to some, lost civilization or people, or you might have come from another plane, an aberrant sort of thing where they're so foreign to our existence, or the H.P. Lovecraft style thing. You may just hold on to this. You've seen it somewhere. You wanted to throw it out there as a teaser for something that you're going to develop. But again, it may mean nothing. It may just mean that this world the players are in is mysterious. It has people that are long forgotten who created, this one last item left of their, lost civilization before they were sucked into the vortex, whatever it is. And here it is, and it's just creepy. Because the players will always wonder, what the hell is this carving? And they never find out. I love that kind of thing. Another related thing are totems that you find in woods. I think of the Blair Witch Project's famous crosses. And you put these out there, whether they're human figures or just representative, or whether they're just unexplained, but they're very crude, and they're in an area. It's clearly defining some kind of border. And when the players are nervous about crossing that, they examine them. Maybe they're so old they just crumble away. Maybe you're in an environment like a desert or where they're clearly weathered. No one's lived here for centuries. It's a burning desert where there's no life. Something like that, or Arctic wasteland where it's clearly some kind of tropical thing that's just the remnants of it. It's been frozen in time. It's very mysterious. How could it be here? Why is it here? And again, you go through that same criterion. It may be related to something. It may be something in the future, or it may just be there to say, who knows what happened 1,000 years ago in this frozen wasteland. The Antarctic once had dinosaurs. Now it doesn't, but it gives the players that sense that this world is greater than them, that there are mysteries that they can't explain. So I'm going to do a couple of mysteries from the real world that were hoaxes that evoke this fear or interest in people. Think about crop circles. When these first started cropping up, and I think it was the 80s, I'm not sure, I'll have to check. But these everybody assumed they were aliens that had come down and landed. There was some movie, I think, called Signs with Mel Gibson that used them. But in fact, it was some people using logs, and they'd roll it behind them, and they very cleverly made these circles, and they put them all over the place. It became a fad once people discovered how to do this. But there was something about them that evoked the sense of the mysterious in people. And this is a sort of, this is a altering the plants, trees, obviously these crop circles, but there could be other things. There could be ditches or mounds and this sort of thing. Now, obviously, in the United States, we have burial mounds from the Mesoamerican cultures that lived there, native, I think, in Illinois, there are these mounds. You can look those up. And, when they first came, the people went there, they didn't quite realize, they knew that they were artificial, they weren't quite sure what they were. And then in the early 20th century, people began to investigate them, archaeologists, and realized these are burial mounds, realized that there had been this advanced, the Mississippi culture, I think it was called, that existed there. But at first, they were not understood. They were mysterious. What were these, right? And this is the kind of thing you can put where you have, clearly a huge amount of effort has been put into altering the landscape in some way, but there's no answers. The players investigate, maybe they research, maybe there's nothing inside. And again, using those three criterion, either you're going to link it in the future, you haven't decided whether you are, or it's just mysterious. And other geographic mysterious places, we all know about the mystery spot where water runs uphill and all that, which are all hoaxes. But in D&D, you can have a mysterious place where the usual laws of physics in a fantastic world don't seem to work. And maybe that's just it. They just don't work right. The water flows uphill, the mystery spot, but it's nothing more than that. Or maybe it is. Maybe you have a thing where the trees, are all withered and strange in a certain area, like we see when you have a tsunami and it floods something, and then they call them the ghost trees or whatever. They've all died or whatever. And maybe there just had been some, tsunami or volcano or whatever, but you want to just give evidence of it. Well, the players are going to be like, what is this? What happened here? And there's no explanation. They don't understand geology. I mean, they're not geologists, or maybe they are if you want to have that in terms of their investigation. But what I'm talking about is something that's totally mysterious. Landscape that doesn't make sense. Weird rock layers. Just things that establish the strangeness of your world. And another potential hoax and obviously great mystery item is the Voynich Manuscript. This has been around for at least 600 years. And it's this elaborately illustrated manuscript on vellum that's been carbon dated to be 600 years old in a language no one has ever been able to decipher. Hundreds of cryptologists have studied this, linguists. No one can figure it out. A lot of experts say that it's a hoax. It was created as an item that they could sell. It was from some mysterious civilization or something. I think the King Otto or somebody bought it, but it doesn't mean anything. Others claim, no, this manuscript, there's a secret to unlock. If only we can figure it out. If only we can, become more advanced in our cryptology or whatever. And it holds its fascination with people and the strange drawings that are on it and everything. Well, you can use this in your campaign. Create a manuscript that is of a language no one can figure out. Whatever spells. Now, again, we have comprehend language spells or whatever, so maybe it has to be magical, that it simply cannot be deciphered. It is the essence of the magic itself, something like that. Because when you do something like this in a world of D&D where you have, magic spells that do this, the players are going to be like, what the hell is this thing? And maybe it's just a hoax. Someone invested for whatever twisted reason to create this magic, to create this manuscript that cannot be deciphered because it doesn't mean anything. Or it is in fact connected to something, but they've got to get this, they got to get that. Some magic item like a mirror magnifying thing that you place over it or glass. And when you look through it, you can now read the manuscript. Whatever you want, whatever it's a spell or item or whatever. Or it has to be linked up. It has to go to a specific place. That thing under the moonlight at a specific time like the elves used to do. Then you can read it. But whatever the case, you stay with the mystery of this on all of these. You don't give the players. They do their skill checks. They do their research. Whatever it is they're trying to do with magic spells, and they cannot figure it out. It's a mystery. That's what mysteries are about. They're the unsolved mystery. It has storytelling power. Another great mystery is the mysterious event. Something occurs with the player characters that doesn't make sense. It doesn't necessarily hurt them or, cause anything, but it's just weird, uncanny. They can't figure out what was going on, and they have to explore it, and they simply can't figure it out. It doesn't make sense. Now, I'm going to use a real-life example that I had. This was about 40 years ago. It was a long time. I was a kid. I was coming back from college. I was staying at my parents' house where I'd grown up, but no one was there. They had another house that they were all staying at, and I was at the old family home by myself in the summer. And I wasn't really expected to be there. I was kind of there on my own. And I went off with my friends, and I came back late at night, and on my bed, at the center of my bed, my childhood bed, was this book, A Dictionary of the Occult, just sitting there. And I'm like, who put this here and why? What is this? And I look through it, and it's this reprint of a very from the early 20th century history of the occult. So it had the weird, creepy typeface and everything. It was, it just unnerved me. I did not know why. And I asked family members and stuff who were in the area, Michigan area. None of them were there. My sisters had moved to different places in the country. I had a sister who was overseas. She was at that time, I think, in Mozambique. Her husband worked for the Foreign Service. So none of it made sense. Well, what I found out was my sister, in fact, they had come back unexpectedly from Mozambique, some event, funeral or something, and she'd stopped through the house, and she had been doing work for this company, publishing company, that reprinted textbooks, and she got this for me, knowing my interest, the D&D stuff and all this crazy stuff, and they just stopped in the house, put the book on my bed, and went on to this event, and then went back, forgetting all about it, forgetting to check with me, never saying anything. So it took like a year before I found out who had placed the Dictionary of the Occult on my bed, right? Well, why not have this happen in your real world? Not your real world. Here's I think of it as the real world. In your D&D world, where the players come, whether it's at their lodgings, here's this mysterious book. Maybe it's a mysterious book like the Voynich Manuscript that can't be read, but it's placed there. They don't know why. Or maybe all this, the table is all set for some mysterious meal, and they don't know who did it. They ask. No one can tell them. Or they're out in the wilderness and suddenly a giant shadow flies over the group. Maybe it stops for a second. They see nothing in the sky, and yet here is this shadow, something, and then off it goes, and they have no idea what it was, right? Maybe my father was out on his boat with his buddy in the middle of Lake Michigan, and a F-1 or F-16 fighter jet from the local, there's an airfield in Michigan, flew over them, saw them down there, and came up behind them at top speed and flew right over their boat. Probably 100 feet high, but it felt like it was right on top of them. Something like that happens. Something flies over with tremendous speed, causing this sort of thing, and the players have no idea what it was. And maybe you don't either, right? Or maybe it's some craft, sort of airship craft, maybe there's only one of them in your whole world. Maybe it's from another dimension. Maybe there was a split in the dimensions and they're going to find someone who's using some artifact or maybe misusing the artifact and causing this effect. Whatever it is, in the initial phase, the players have no idea why this has happened. They don't know who put the book there, who set the table, what this giant shadow was. And the best part of it is maybe it's a mystery to you. You don't know. You just do this kind of thing. Now, again, don't overuse this. Every day it's a new mystery, right? Then that becomes hokey, overused. But just every once in a while, especially if they're exploring some cave complex, when, the first cave drawings were found as evidence of, we knew they were ancient people, but no one knew who these people were that put these cave drawings in, the ones that were found in France. Now they've been found all over the world. There are still different artifacts like rituals, areas set up with stalactites set in some. They don't know what it is. They think, is it a funeral rite? Is it a worshiping thing? These kind of things. And you put these in your world. You don't explain them. The players, maybe they try to draw this out or whatever, because again, the players are going to think everything has to do with some thing in your world. And you're establishing that sometimes there are mysteries, and then sometimes a year later, in real life time, you're running along and they find another round of these stalactites. Now they start making connections because you've either already from the beginning connected this to something, or you've decided, okay, I'm ready to connect the stalactite circles or the cave drawings. I'm ready to have another shadow come over. I'm ready to explain, who it was that put this book on one of the players' beds in their inn. There was a locked room, whatever. Because my explanation was obviously mundane. It wasn't some spirit that put the book on the occult there. It was my sister. Well, you can have a mundane explanation. Now, D&D lends itself towards having fantastical ones, but you don't have to do that. So there you have some mysterious items, events, and places that you can place in your world that either are standalone mysterious, they cannot be explained, or they are connected to something that you've already thought up, or maybe sometime in the future, and maybe you never will. If you like what you see on my channel, please subscribe. I'm always looking for more. Please leave some comments. I'd love to hear about the mysterious things that you've created in your world. But most importantly,